Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Excellencies, honorable guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say hello, but to say it first in one of my mother tongues. Linguistic diversity obliges, so I'd ask our interpreters to allow me to do this.
Anga jamanaw ka hɛrɛ bɛ fɛn fɛn na Ala ka latigɛ. An bɛ adamadenya sabatili baara min na ani diɲɛ kanw sankɔrɔtali baara min na Ala k'a ɲ'an bolo. Ala ka ni sababa bɛn. Merci beaucoup de dire Amina.
Thank you very much. I must have a brother or sister here in the room that knows these languages. It is our tradition when we begin a meeting to first send greetings and express that we want a peaceful day after a peaceful night. I also would ask the Almighty to bless our work, the work of preserving the unity of human beings and strengthening relationships between our peoples, developing the languages of the world. And I say this in one of the West African languages that is shared by 9 West African states, the Bambara, and Manding also, in a large sense, spoken in 9 states in Western African countries, Anglophone countries, Francophone countries, and Portuguese-speaking countries as well. Excellencies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, first allow me, on behalf of the African Academy of Languages, ACALAN, and the Maya Global Network for Linguistic Diversity, which has the honor of presiding over the International Advisory Committee for the UNESCO National Year of Languages, to thank UNESCO's New York office and the Department of Public Information for the honor that was bestowed upon me in inviting me to participate in this global seminar in New York, here at the UN headquarters. I had strongly suggested that this be the case as a way to celebrate the International Year of Languages proclaimed by the 61st session of the UNGA. Allow me to thank the New York office of UNESCO for the warm welcoming and the efforts undertaken so that our visit be academic and pleasurable. I would also, at the outset, like to discuss what has come before us, allowing for this to be the International Year of Languages, and so that we could be here today. First, Austria, and particularly the Federal Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, and its UNESCO National Commission, we have the privilege of conceiving of this project. How could we not also mention the names Monica Goodenough-Hoffman and Gabriel Eschink? There's also the Director General of UNESCO and the President of the Executive Committee of UNESCO. Thank you for the unflagging support and the idea galvanizing all the countries that adopt the draft resolution of the UNESCO General Conference, and we must also thank them. We must thank France and Francophonie. Thanks to France and the Francophonie, we have been able to materialize through paragraph 25 of the UN General Assembly resolution on multilingualism adopted 16 May 2007. Mr. Mauro Rossi and his excellent team has brought great visibility to this year, particularly through the website. Thank you, Mrs. Hashem. And finally, Ms. Gouslin, Rochelle Roca, Hashem, Mr. Eric Folt, and DPI. Thank you very much for having organized this seminar, which we had discussed last April. Allow me also, on behalf of the ACALAN Executive Committee and the Academy of Languages, African Academy of Languages, to thank the Director General of the UNESCO and the Deputy Director General for Culture for placing your trust in the network. This allowed us to work ahead and make this successful. This also allowed us to hold this year within the theme of languages and intercultural dialogue in a globalizing universe. 2008 is also the European Year for Intercultural Dialogue. Hence the topic of my remarks today in the seminar. I would like to craft my remarks based on the situation in the world, which is characterized largely by divisions that have come paradoxically with a given understanding of the phenomenon of globalization. This is largely based on the globalization of markets, but we must base our work on a globalization of people and cultures. This is essential for the survival of humanity. How do we move ahead in a world that is collective and diverse and perpetual change without referring also to the crucial cultural matters of existence for mankind? How do we think of life without culture and language? However, globalization is now a reality in many of our countries throughout the world, and we know more and more the danger that comes with an excessive uniformization of culture and lifestyles, the domination of an oversimplified vehicular language, global English. On all other languages, there's domination. Global English is sometimes called with scorn globish, and it does allow for, say, a Korean and an Argentine to ask for directions in an airport in Paris. However, it does not allow them to build a cultural identity or an individual identity or a national identity. We are now in the 21st century, in the era of the ITCs and information society. Shared knowledge, and still 700 million or more adults around the world are in risk of disappearing with their knowledge and their know-how. This because they don't have access to the writing and the instruments that would allow them to develop and enrich their knowledge. It doesn't allow them to create the conditions for the transmission of this know-how to future generations. How many youth and how many of the less young have been the victims of language barriers that keep them from developing their creative sparks, from developing new knowledge, and from sharing their knowledge and having access to universal knowledge? In the 21st century, there's tremendous potential with ITCs, and this allows the youth to develop their spirit and creativity. However, still 75 million school-age children still do not have this opportunity. And what's worse, in many countries throughout the world, for example, a great many in Africa, are still separated from school. There are barriers. This should be the place for building knowledge par excellence, but it is not. They are separated because the teaching languages are barriers to the content, and their cultures and their communities are not borne in mind. The development can not be done save by way of respect for languages, cultures, arts, and beliefs, ways of thinking. That is to say, the different unique features that bring harmony and beauty to a diversified, multifaceted, different but united world.